This is Maurice Jones-Drew, and you're listening to the What's Bruin Show.
You're listening to the What's Bruin Show, part of the What's Bruin Show network, with your hosts, Jake Berryfield and Mike Regalado, and occasionally some friends, talking all things UCLA sports. And now, it's time for the What's Bruin Show.
Hello, and welcome to What's Bruin. I am your host, Jake Merrifield, and I'm joined by my good friend, Mike Regalado.
Mike Regalado.
What's up, yo?
From Bruin Report Online. And we're here on an MJ edition.
The ceiling is the roof.
The MJ edition.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, Mike, how you doing?
Good, thank you. How you doing?
I'm good. We may not get a whole lot done here before the Laker game ends. It is the play-in tournament, 7 versus 8. The Lakers got like 2 minutes left in the fourth, and the score, the Lakers are up by 2. And I may be a little distracted until we get that done, but I want to get the intro out of the way, before we get to the BroFiliated headlines. And,
Yeah, you jumped into it real
and all
quick.
that stuff.
Bro.
There is, my day has been relatively inefficient, and I'm trying to get, I want to get some stuff done, Mike. And so I want to hurry up and start, and then wait for the end of the game, and then get started again. And then you want to talk about...
Well, we could totally have paused, dude. That was the best thing, because you just jumped right into it. I was like, oh, let's do it.
Yeah, let's go.
But
Right.
then I realized it's a commercial.
It is a commercial, yeah. So we are taking advantage. There's the game again. But nothing's going on quite yet. Mikey, you want to talk about some WNBA draft talk, hot WNBA draft talk?
And some men's basketball signings.
Oh, my God. This is
I would
double
like
bad.
to avoid the basketball
Oh, my
shows
God.
for as long as
But
possible.
that's okay.
crazy.
I'll indulge you.
It's crazy.
And then some spring football stuff and what have you. But this is the What's Bruin Show on the What's Bruin Show network. We want to thank you for your support. And you can get us on the Twitter at What's Bruin Show, Instagram at What's Bruin Show. And also, you can subscribe on Patreon, patreon.com/What's Bruin Show, or just what'sbruinshow.com for how much, Mike?
$2.
$2.
Just $2. And then also on the Substack. It's substack.com/What's Bruin Show, I believe, as well. And you can check the show notes for merch, for our merch site. And you can also call the hotline, 805-399-4WBS. Sucker Troy. Our good friend Michael Castillo, Mikey, coming down the coast from Seattle all the way down today, calls me about noon. And he's
Driving?
Yeah, he's driving. Him and the Penguin are driving. Guess what?
What?
Pulled over by a chippy, given a citation. Bad boy Michael, getting tickets.
What you want? What you gonna do?
I do want to report that he is eligible for traffic school, so that is good news. But
Aren't you always?
No. If you get multiple moving violations, Mike.
Oh, yeah, okay. No, I got that.
Traffic school is not an option necessarily. You can go in and beg, and maybe they'll give it to you, but...
Oh, no, I've done that.
it depends.
I hate when it happens because it sucks, and having a point on your record is just because you get one more. Not that I've ever gotten a second one, but it's just it's just you just don't
You
want
want to hang it over your head.
Exactly, and I had one coming down from where was I coming back from? Santa Cruz, helping my sister move up there for school.
Yeah.
Me and my other sister took her car back down the 101.
Something awesome happened. I think Zion Williamson just got tossed out of the game or fouled out. That's beautiful.
Nice.
I love that.
Let's see what happens.
Let's see. He's driving on LeBron. He takes a step back, and then he's going forward. And he's going to drive on AD, and he's going to score, and he's going to taunt. And did he pick up a tee or something?
I
don't
have
know
no idea. So off the rails.
Yeah.
But I was just going to say really quickly, I got one of those speeding tickets down the 101 freeway,
Mikey.
which sucked because it's
How fast were you going in a what? Probably a 65?
probably 65. I was probably going 85.
Okay. Did the cops say anything to you? This is. I'm going to get to what
No,
they
it was
said
it was
to
pretty
Michael.
it was pretty rote.
Okay. Did he say something like, son, you gotta? I kind of like the cut of your jib. So you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna cut that ticket from 85 to 65 down to a 75 and a 65, just so you can get traffic school. Some line like that. Did that come up? Anything like that? Something familiar?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
He-
It was just
maybe he didn't like the cut of your jib.
It was like
Maybe he thought you were Hunter S. Thompson, you damn dirty hippie.
Yeah. It was like you were speeding. I was like, yeah, I figured that. That's fine. Here's
That's
your
good.
ticket. I'm like, all right, cool.
It's good to have
thank
a
you.
positive attitude.
Although I got to say, at one point, I was with Cobra Nose's wife, the lovely Amanda.
We love Amanda.
And we were. This was after.
Super plum.
Haven't even started this show yet. It's awesome. We were driving in my car, heading south on Sepulveda, right there on Venice, and I thought I could make it. And the car in front of me didn't go, so I got
Rip.
stuck there. And sure enough, gas station, 2 cops there. They pulled me and the person in front of me over. We came over. That lady was just like, la, 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 la. And the cop comes over and says, hey, do you know why I pulled you over? I'm like, no, I have no idea. And Amanda was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I'm just kidding. Yeah, I saw. I get it. I deserve this. Blah blah blah."
Honesty.
So he goes back to start writing the ticket, and he comes back to me and he goes, "I don't know if you remember my old little blue Sentra.
Yes.
That had all the punk rock stickers on the back.
Yes.
He goes, "Okay, since you're a punk rocker, I'm going to give you a parking ticket."
What?
So he yeah. I got a moving citation
Go Bruins.
reduced down to just a parking ticket.
That's awesome.
I was like, "Thank you, sir." He's like, "Get
and
out of here."
that is a veterano move from a
This dude
local
was
police
young
officer.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like he wants to, sometimes, like, look, we're not on quotas. There's never been any quotas, at least not for any California agency I may be associated with or no. There's no quotas. However, is there pressure for you to, like, actually have some sort of work product from your shift day to day?
Honestly, I always thought of that. I mean, I guess, like, do parking
Oh, that's a whole
people
separate
have a
thing,
whole
pal.
have it?
Don't you dare compare me to a meter maid.
No, that's
I'm
what I
gonna
was
take
wondering.
great
Because
offense right now,
they
Mike.
need a quota, right?
Yeah, they definitely do.
Yeah, so,
they
I
gotta
mean-
they gotta be writing tickets.
I mean, I've never been a police officer, a peace officer, an officer of the law, but I can imagine that you're on call for a lot of different stuff. So I don't think that,
And that's why-
Well, maybe these guys, because they were specifically parked there, and there are certain situations, like especially around LA, where they're like ticket traps.
Yeah. Well, we're going on a major jag right
We
now.
are,
I apologize.
we
We'll get
have-
to the BroFiliated headlines in a minute. But just to lay it out for the people there, we want to be a public service show and give some information. Number one, we're talking about like cops on the street, and by the way, we're talking about like post-COVID and pre-COVID, these things, some of these things that kind of certainly have changed in that regard. But you're talking about like cops on the street. The only ones that are out there specifically to write you a ticket are who, Mike? The motorcycles.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
motorcycle. That's
Yeah, yeah.
it, all right?
Uh-huh.
They're the only ones that are there. Like, their whole entire job are to write tickets. So if you get pulled over by a motorcycle, I'm sorry. I hate to tell you this, but 99% of the time you're going to ticket. And if you talk your way out of a ticket from a motorcycle cop, you should be commended. You should like do a
Nice.
fucking cartwheel because
No,
they
my-
have hearts of stone. Because all they want to do is write tickets, right? And they have competition
dude,
how many tickets they write.
Every time I get pulled over, I'm like, it was probably something. So I'm not going to be an
Well, that's
idiot.
a very
and go,
good attitude,
No,
yes.
I'm just like, do you know how you're going fast, or you didn't cross over, blah blah blah. I'm like, yeah, the last one that I got, like right before COVID, apparently I didn't stop at a stop sign.
Mike, you've already like admitted to like 7 tickets like in the last 4 minutes. I'm a
I've
little worried
admitted
about
to
you.
3 over like 25 years.
Go Bruins!
But no, that was the last one, and I was like, I don't remember. I remember I was tired, and I was. My home was like around the block,
Yeah.
like half a block down, and I was like, I guess I did. Can I fight this? Yeah, just go here, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
And then, funny enough, when it was due, I went to the court to fight it.
And you didn't show up?
COVID, it was closed.
Oh,
it was
my God.
delayed 6 months. I had extra time.
That's terrific. Yeah. What I was getting back to, though, is like,
Sorry.
if you get pulled over by a motorcycle, odds are you're getting a ticket and there's not too much you can do about
Yeah.
it. But everybody else, right? Like when I was out there at some point, I generally, like, if I pulled over like 10 people, I might write like 3 cites, and I'd probably give like 7 warnings. And one other thing you could do is you pull somebody for moving violation, and and it's like they don't have a million tickets, they don't have a record or anything like that. You might say, okay, well, you might have rolled through that stop sign, or you might have been going fast down PCH or wherever, but you also have a crack on your windshield, so I'll just write you a fix-it ticket for that, and we'll call it a day, and then you don't have a moving violation. Like, those are all things that are under
So
our
off topic.
discretion, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
if the cop's rolling up on you and walking up to your window, and you're in super dick mode, are you going to get that break? Probably not.
We're looking at you, Zsa Zsa Gabor.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you are
And Mel Gibson.
relatively, well put together, and you're not, trying to cause a scene or being a punk,
Yeah.
then you have a lot better chance of maybe getting some sort of break. Sometimes you ain't getting a break. I'm sorry, there's no way around it, and that's always at the officer's discretion. So I mean,
Yeah,
that's just what
I
it
always
is.
just want to get out of there. I'm like, okay,
always a good
I
idea.
probably did something. Not gonna lie, nothing horrible.
Well, I'll
Like
tell you
I've
what,
never
Mike. You know what I see when I see you? You're good for something.
scum and villainy.
You're good for something. You're good for something, pal.
Probably. I don't
I'm
know.
just kidding, Mike.
I mean,
All right,
I mean, crimes are cool, but I'm getting old.
That's
so-
right. Well, and generally, men grow out of it. All right, Mikey, we've talked long enough. This all goes back to what? Michael Castillo's
Oh dear God, I forgot about this.
speeding ticket down the 5 freeway. I think it was the 5. Anyways, Mikey, let's get to the BroFiliated headlines, and let me finish watching this goddamn Laker game.
Mike Regalado.
What a champion. What a champion.
I want you to applaud Mike.
Big
Wow.
applause. Big applause. Big applause, Big Mike.
Isn't that nice?
That was extended.
Yeah, it was. That's the
Nice.
original drop that I cut
Exactly.
it from.
Very
That's
nice.
what I do. I go scour the internet for any, passing mentions of you, especially an actual mention of you. There's a lot of clips I have of Mike, but an actual Mike Regalado clip. I treasure those.
Yeah. And you could talk about it, but you can't put into audio form, like screenshots or whatnot, because,
That's right.
A lot of my accolades include sports analysts that have blocked me.
That's good. Yeah. I'm veering towards the positive, but you're right, Mike. The Laker game is over. The Lakers pulled out the victory over the Pels. They're now the 7th seed, and they get gifted the Denver Nuggets in the first round. So we'll see how that goes.
Oy.
But I do know I'll go to one of those games. I'll sell one of those games. Hopefully they win the one I go to. They haven't beat the Nuggets in literally the last 10 tries, I want to say. But hey, hope springs eternal, and I'm proud of the Lakers getting the playoffs. Mikey, it's the BroFiliated headlines, though. And what do you got?
Well, since you're already talking about basketball, let me continue
Oh, my
with
God.
the fact that UCLA women's basketball's Charisma Osborne is in the WNBA. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. She was selected 25th overall by the Phoenix Mercury.
Straight baller.
She was one of the invitees to the event, which was huge this year. And apparently it just broke records, viewing records, which cheers to them.
The draft?
The draft, yes, which took place this past Monday. And it was unfortunate because she was projected to go maybe late first round. She was the first selection of the third round. So that's
Oh,
unfortunate.
that's quite a drop. Why do you think she dropped then?
There seemed to be a lot of
Let's get some hardcore WNBA draft talk right now, Mike.
unprojected
For Nancy.
international selections.
Oh.
Yeah. So, and
My goodness.
a lot of players that weren't invited, I guess, jumped up the boards. Teams like what they like, but either way, this is actually probably a really good thing for Charisma because it's not a guaranteed spot, as are some of the selectees. But the Mercury are not good, so
she should have a chance to make the team.
exactly. That's the good thing. It sucks to see her drop that far, but at the same time, this is the first Bruin in 3 years to get selected into the WNBA. The last
Bruins.
one was Michaela Onyenwere, who went to the New York Liberty 3 years ago.
I believe
so.
I have 4 of her. What's the virtual cards? Gosh, I can't think of it. NBA Top Shot.
Oh yeah,
I have 4 Top Shot cards of her. I haven't looked at them in 3 years.
Any as a Bruin or all Liberty?
No, they're all just the WNBA.
Oh hells yeah, dude, nice. And
I'll gift you one, Mike. I think that's worth 1/1000th of a penny.
oh hells yeah, dude.
So it's
bring
all
it.
yours, buddy.
So that was pretty cool. And yeah, they just broke records for viewership. And Caitlin Clark went number 1. Your LA Sparks, they brought
I was
in,
pleased to see this.
much to the chagrin of Mr. Jamaal Artis out there in Arizona land because he's a Cal Bear. Cameron Brink,
Yeah.
she was drafted by the Sparks.
In this case, I guess we have to say
Suck it, Cal.
Yeah.
Or should you go, ba-bam, because Defender of the Year, National Defender of the Year is going to the LA Sparks. Yeah, fantastic.
Fair enough.
And
Mikey,
what's up?
I was just gonna say, so not to get into too much hot WNBA talk right now, but I was having this conversation at work, and we were talking about how much the women's game has been elevated, the college game, I should say, has been elevated in the last few years. It really seems like the women's tournament's catching on steam, and it's like, college basketball as a whole, men's or women's, really has just become like everybody kind of checks in when the tournament, not you, but most people, the casual fans, check in for the tournaments.
Yeah.
And there's really no reason why the women's tournament can't be immensely popular too, based on the same principle as the men's. It's like fierce competition.
The championship game drew more viewers than the men's.
But that's my point, right? It's fierce, good competition, single elimination. It's gonna be cool. Like there's a big draw there.
Yeah.
I think this might be a horribly ignorant opinion, but I think that, college basketball, women's basketball is ahead of the WNBA as far as like eyeballs and popularity and fan engagement, all those things. And they've done a good job of kind of propping up both the last number of years, but college basketball really is kind of taken, and I think we're kind of I'm waiting to see if these college stars that have been created in the last couple of years translate into the WNBA stars, and will anybody care if Caitlin Clark is in the NBA now, WNBA now?
ESPN
is that following going to follow them, is what I'm saying. Obviously, I think they're all latching onto it, right?
Oh, definitely. Like, so I think I'm just kind of grabbing the numbers out of the air, but last year, the Indiana Fever, which Caitlin Clark was drafted to, had 3 games televised on ESPN. This season, they have 22. Apparently.
Oh wow!
So yeah, so they're drawing the attention, and much deserved too, because I mean there were so many stars in this one. So Angel Reese, she's going to the Chicago Sky. They got a baller right there.
Oh, sorry. Here we go.
There you go.
Straight baller.
There's just so much interest, which, the WNBA and women's college basketball has been struggling, but there's just across the board.
But you can make a good case that women's college basketball is ascending. I'm curious if the WNBA follows suit. That's kind of what I'm saying. Are the eyeballs going to follow these girls from college hoops to the pros? Because that would be a huge. That would be very big for them.
Apparently, during the draft, I think it was at where the Indiana Fever play. They invited Indianapolisites or whatever they're called to. Come on down, see a draft party, and it got packed. It got sold out.
That's cool.
So the excitement is there. You know, the Caitlin Clark, all of her jerseys were sold out.
Yeah.
Before the night's end. So I think, if anything, you know, kind of like UCLA football, you have all this excitement behind it. It's good for now. Can it sustain itself? That's going to be on the Indiana Fever and the WNBA, and just trying to make this product huge. But it already looks like it's happening because ESPN is taking a huge interest in it already.
Yeah. Well, and that's really what I want to see. A couple years from now.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear how much they're televising it, because I mean they're televising lots of things. I don't know how many people are actually
the Ocho,
watching it, right? Yeah. I mean, like I said, if it's on the Ocho.
On ESPN, I saw professional tag over Christmas.
That's exactly my point, right? Like, don't tell me what ESPN is televising.
I'm not equating professional tag with
tell
the
me
WNBA.
what the following is.
But yeah, exactly.
You know what though, Mike? It's not that far of a stretch of a question, unfortunately, and that's been the point.
But you know, they have the advantage of actually having the summer, because what do they have to compete with? Baseball, which is fine. It's a very popular sport, but it's so long
and it's different.
Yeah, it's very different. Yeah.
No, it's cool. And look, if they're putting out a quality product, I hope people are out there to watch it, right? And
exactly.
I know, I just can't tell you how many people just out and about. Like I work at a courthouse with all sorts of different people there, and like women's basketball has come up. Oh, I don't know, 9,000% more than it ever has in my entire life.
Yeah,
just in the last month. 2 months. So I mean, I'm curious to see how this pans out.
Yeah.
And is this sustainable? Because it's cool. All right.
And just not to dwell on
oh my God
on the social media.
Okay.
But someone brought up the fact that like after this the viewership is going to go down. It's like maybe, but probably not, because I mean Caitlin Clark is a once in a lifetime figure, but you still have like Juju Watkins, who made a huge splash. Hannah Hidalgo, who was another freshman at Notre Dame, she's going to be kicking ass next year. You have all these teams like am I saying this right? Flajai Johnson at LSU. I think she was a sophomore this year. They're going to keep it going. Dawn Staley at South Carolina. Like I'm seeing so many narratives of, Caitlin Clark's out of women's basketball, it's not going to be as popular. I'm like, if you think that, you're not really watching women's basketball, because there were so many narratives. I haven't even talked about the Kiki Rice and Lauren Betts.
God.
But we're going to hold off. No, I'm at the chopper.
You hit my threshold. You hit my threshold.
With UCLA basketball? Damn you.
You're LSU.
Well, I know. I'm just saying. Okay. That's the narrative. That's just what I'm hearing.
That's
anyway, let's finish with women's basketball and get into men's basketball.
Oh, yeah.
I'll make it quick.
Yeah.
Eric Daly, 6'8", 230, linebacker, 230-pound. I'm putting the LB right next to it. Yeah. Dual sport between football and basketball.
Let's go.
When was the last time we had a dual sport basketball football guy? Jackie Robinson? I don't think it was.
No, there's been guys.
Yeah, no, there have been a few.
Pros. I'm sure.
Well, I'm just saying, because it was Jackie Robinson Day yesterday.
There are
So-
plenty of guys that played college football, college basketball.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
There's at least one every
Exactly.
couple years.
I'm just saying.
That's notable.
Anyway, Eric Daly not playing football. He is transferring from Oklahoma State to UCLA, and with his commitment, UCLA announced the three signings of Eric Daly, Kobe Johnson.
One at a time.
Oh, Eric Daly,
Straight baller.
Kobe Johnson,
Just a baller, man.
and Sky Clark.
He's just a baller, man.
Let's go.
Yeah, so those are the basketball
Go
headlines,
Bruins.
Jake. Those are the headlines in general.
Well, what do you think about these new guys, Mike? I mean, we had a bunch of guys that they cobbled together a team last year of a bunch of guys from a lot of different places that were very young.
Yeah.
And now they're cobbling together a team that's got some returners
Mhm.
and then some new guys. But these new guys seem like more like bona fide impact player types, right? Would that be fair to say?
I would say, yeah, exactly. That's what I would say, because you had all the international freshmen coming in last year, as well as the three high school freshmen, as well as Laser Stefanovic.
I got to get the drop.
It's
my fault.
We got to bring that up, but you're bringing in guys who have experience, and obviously football is different from basketball. But you see what Chip Kelly did with his transfers into the program. They helped immediately, and that could be a big thing, especially with Daly, who's I can see UCLA going 4 guards, 1 big with Daly, but I don't, with Burke and Mara still on the squad, I'm hoping that Mick Cronin can figure out how to do a 2 big lineup. But either way,
I wanna see
having
Mara,
Daly,
like,
he's
get better,
a
get better,
very
get better.
athletic guy, huge on the rebounds, huge around the rim. And then you have Kobe Johnson, who's a defensive guard out of USC, and Sky Clark, who he's a slasher. He can hit from the mid range. And after I was thinking about it today, after the Daly commitment, I'm like, this could be. I'm not going to say that they're going to win the Big Ten, but they could be very competitive in the Big Ten next season.
Go Bruins!
Exactly.
I like UCLA to win the game.
Yeah,
There we go.
me too.
Well,
all
actually,
would.
Phil
we
said-
all would.
I like UCLA to win the game.
Big Ten. Oh, there we go.
Big Ten. Yes.
There we go. All right, sounds good. Let's go.
Yeah. So there's your basketball tech, Jake. Try to bring it down, but
Can we be done
I
with it now?
also like the fact that you added to
Hi,
it.
bro.
So don't tell me to get to the chopper.
Oh. No, I'm just getting the chopper when you're like, oh my God, do you know that girl that plays at Western Connecticut? Oh my God, she's so awesome. Your crossover kills.
Jake. Get to the chopper! Western Connecticut is not doing very well.
I'm just saying. You got
Not that
pretty
I know.
far
I
out
just
there.
I
Don't
did,
tell
I
me
did, I
about
did.
some chick from Notre
I
Dame that can
did.
play. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
You're gonna hear about
I
Hannah
don't wanna
Hidalgo.
hear it.
You're gonna hear about Hannah Hidalgo.
That's what I have to say.
All right, let's go. We have football talk to talk about.
Do you think we drink too much?
No, we don't drink too much. Men face reality, women don't. That's why men need to drink.
I hate it when podcasters talk about what they're drinking.
That little weirdo makes the best Manhattan I've ever had. What else am I gonna drink, Bob? A fucking Fresca?
No frescas tonight, Mikey. How you feeling?
This is amazing.
I finally.
How has it taken us this long?
Well, because I found this track like 3 years ago, and then I buried it in my computer. I finally went back to the archives, and I dug this out. Some nice royalty-free lounge music. But this is the What's Bruin Symposium.
Suck
Coming
it,
to you
YouTube.
on the What's Bruin Show Network. That's right. Suck at YouTube. Coming to you on the What's Bruin Show Network. And hey, you know what? Tonight, Mikey, you cracked a beer. I made a cocktail.
Uh-huh.
What are you drinking tonight?
So I've gone on rants about how fruit should be banned from certain things like beer and salsa, which I stand by for mango. But recently, I've had a few of these Voodoo Rangers. I like Voodoo Rangers IPA as it is, but their fruit line, I have to say is quite exceptional. I'm drinking Juice Force IPA right now. Has a very citrusy taste.
Nice.
And this is a beer that could get you in trouble. It tastes that good. It's like a cider.
Yeah.
So it's like if you're like,
What's
oh,
the
this
potency?
tastes good. I think this is an 8.5er.
Nice.
I believe.
There
So,
you go.
Obviously, sometimes we're about taste. Sometimes we're about potency. This brings both.
So that's a Red Bull.
So,
There you go. Well, very good, Mike.
yeah. So that's what I got. What are you bringing to us today?
Well, I just booked my train tickets. The Merrifields and the Shirleys are going to be on a Canadian vacation in June.
What?
Yeah, and we're going to be taking a train as part of this trip from Montreal to Ottawa. I mean, to Quebec, I should say.
Oh, that's cool.
It's gonna be
Have
fun.
you heard of the one from Vancouver to Banff?
I want to do that too, but we're going to be on the more in the Middle East
Yeah.
side. And so in honor of that, and also I guess in honor of Shohei Ohtani becoming a Dodger or something, I need a Japanese theme. But I made it's because I found yuzu in a couple cocktails I've been out and about recently, and I'm like, I need to make a yuzu cocktail. So it's a yuzu maple leaf cocktail. It's got bourbon, maple syrup, yuzu, and lemon juice in it. It's wonderful.
Nice.
It's wonderful. I'll put a picture up on the website. But this is a conversation over drinks. Of course, the What's Bruin Show Symposium is coming to you, and we appreciate your support. That support would be on Patreon, patreon.com/What's Bruin Show. For how much, Mike?
$2.
Just $2 a month. And also on the Substack, which we got a subscriber on Substack, and I want to thank you for your support on there as well. But that's substack.com/What's Bruin Show. And hey, you know what? Send the What's Bruin Show into the future. Have a drink. Listen to the What's Bruin Show.
Cheers to all of you.
And everybody, have a good night.
Okay.
Blue 32! Blue 32! California! California! Hood! Hood! Hey! Football!
All right, Mikey. We are talking about UCLA spring football, which is still going on. How many more practices do they have left, if you know?
They have Thursday, Friday Night Lights, then the 3 next week.
What's the Friday Night Lights?
It's basically practice, but it's... Okay, so here's how practice has been going. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday all start at 8:30. Saturday is usually a half an hour longer. So you have 2 hours, 2.5 hours. And that's been the same way the last 2 weeks. So Friday Night Lights is basically going to be the Saturday, and Coach Foster talked about this, how Tracy Pearson from Bro asked if this is going to be more of a game situation.
Mike Regalado.
And Coach Foster said that, no, it's basically going to be a Saturday practice on Friday night.
Yeah.
And the reason they wanted to do it on Friday night is to not only bring back a tradition that Jim Mora had, but to have it on a Friday night to where kind of a fun party situation atmosphere, if you will. Random usage of adjectives to describe it, but it's basically the Saturday practice on a Friday night to try to bring more eyeballs to the program.
That's fun.
And in the, basically in lieu of what do Friday Night Lights allude to? Basically high school football.
Yeah.
And that is kind of the situation, because they're not only expecting recruits there, but as Deshaun Foster said, it's going to be like a circus atmosphere. Maybe not like a clown show. I saw that on his talk on Tuesday, and I'm like, exactly. I'm like, but more of an entertaining factor. They're going to be like food trucks. Apparently, they're going to put stands in Lot 8.
Yeah.
So they're expecting a lot of people. So it's going to be, just football under the lights, because all we've seen of this team so far is morning practices. So he wanted a different situation before.
Is there going to be a DJ?
Yes, there will.
UCLA and the air horn. Mike's favorite.
A lot of Selena. I'm just saying. No, I'm just kidding. But apparently a lot of Dr. Dre, because we've noticed that whenever they play Still Dre, bling, 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 blong, 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 blong. I don't know. That just kind of signals something.
What is the signaling?
a time to pick it up in practice, a time to bring the juice, the energy, the DRE, which is part of Foster's mantra, discipline, respect, and enthusiasm.
Okay, then.
And they play it at key points during practice. So that should be pretty interesting. But yeah, going back to Friday Night Lights, which is this Friday, it seems like it's going to be a big deal, as well as the spring showcase, which is 8 days after that at the Rose Bowl, with not only a spring game ? But it's also going to be paired with a UCLA men's soccer game that starts at 11 a.m. So I'm personally going to, I would love to see the soccer game, but I have duties to fulfill, so I have to be focused on the football game, practice, showcase, however it is. But as of now, it's been pretty interesting going in 2 weeks in. We're basically at the halfway point, and wow, I just went dark all of a sudden thinking about what I was going to talk about. It's really interesting seeing how Deshaun Foster is bringing a lot of positivity, but there's also been a lot of negativity only because of injuries.
Mm-hmm.
There have been quite a few injuries in the last week alone. You have situations in which players like Gary Smith III and Ali Cahill have been out and have been slowly rehabbing, but there have been a few other injuries that have taken place, which have been it's basically marred the progress of the UCLA football team under Deshaun Foster, which is both good and bad, because you have guys that are getting injured, and the injuries are not the good part. Let me just clear that out, because you have 3 ACL injuries in the last 2 days. And as I reported on Saturday, the first one that was huge was starting tight end Hudson Habermill, who went down with 20 minutes left in Saturday's practice. And that was kind of weird to see, because I was up in the patio of the
Luskin.
the Luskin Center, and you could just hear him just cry out, just like he was. The fact that he was saying no, just you could just like the media members that I was with, we just looked at each other and like our hearts were breaking for him. That was unfortunate.
Yeah.
And UCLA also had Donovan Pilat, who had an ACL tear in at the end of the Thursday practice before that. And then you also have walk-on running back Troy Legber, who has an ACL tear. So that's just rough. That's a rough start to this this situation. But the silver lining is that you have guys lower on the depth chart who will get more time, more reps. And even last week, where they were having more guys playing with the ones and twos than they normally would. Like, for example, J. Michael Sturdivant hasn't really participated in team drills in about a week. And that was because the first Saturday, basically practice number 3, he overexerted himself. So I started referring to it with a lot of other players as basically the equivalent of load management. There does seem to be a heavier burden put on this team to go above and beyond and to really push themselves. Basically, after every team and 7-on-7s, whenever the drive is dead, I guess I could best describe it. Everyone on the offense and defense has to just run down the field, which at some points is like 40, 50, 60 yards, and go back with their respective teams. So it's been pretty interesting to see how this, how the team is getting accustomed to Eric Bieniemy's style of football.
Yeah, it's terrible that Habermill got hurt and the other two guys as well. Did he get hurt on one of these like conditioning sprints in between drills and
No, this
and
was actually
periods?
in team periods where he was on a. I remember the play, and I think it was Ethan Garber's, and he was looking to Garber's left, which would have been my right, at a receiver, over by the sideline, and all of a sudden you just started hearing these cries, and Habermill was just down on the ground. It was a non-contact injury as well as the other two, Palat and Legber. But yeah, that was pretty rough. But that wasn't the only thing. You've also had, like I said, Michael Sturtevant is having quote unquote load management. Earlier in practice, Brandon Pagan, he was running a route, didn't catch it, and kind of pulled up short. And as he was walking off the field, he was grabbing at his left hamstring. I asked Deshaun Foster about it, and he said that he had a hamstring injury last year, and it seems like he re-aggravated it. So there seems to be a lot of injuries halfway through the spring practice.
And it's like they typically come in bunches too, and it's like when you get to spring practice, you're going to have some injuries, and you hope that there's nothing that's going to be so severe that's going to keep them out of fall practice or let alone games.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Habermill one, that's a tough one.
Yeah, there was also Grant Gray who was on the sideline, offensive lineman Benjamin Roy, who I'm thinking about it. Who's going to be my
Magic Man?
My Magic Man?
Oh my gosh.
I would say he would probably be my Magic Man on the offensive line. I have another offensive line, in mind.
Okay.
But, on the offensive line, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, we should do that. We should have Magic Man in each position. Make it interesting.
That's a lot of Magic Men.
It is.
I mean, thank God Bill's not here with us anymore, because that'd be like, that's literally like, 8 guys you're sentencing to doom if we give Bill the Magic Man votes.
The Magic Man.
I mean, we're gonna have to call Bill and do a special edition to make him give us his Magic Man.
I kind of wanna. I kind of don't wanna.
I think we should keep it to like 2 or 3.
Yeah,
personally,
no, totally. So,
Mikey, good segue though. Like, you're at practice. How many practices you been to? 2, 3?
2.
Who is jumping off the page at you? You already said Roy. Why is Roy jumping off the page at you?
Oh no, he's not. He's been injured. He just what he's done in the last few seasons. I see potential in him.
I'm not listening. I'm sorry.
But
who has been playing and actually is like,
here's another one that is
like giving you like Caleb Benenoch sort of feelings. Anybody like that?
I would say Ramon Henderson, but he also seems to be in a situation where he's load managing. It hasn't been announced that he has an official injury, but he was doing very well in team drills in most of the practices that we've seen. And Saturday, he was on the sideline, I believe it was. He was just not in team drills. But as far as guys who are still on the field participating, Kane Medrano, I like what he is doing. I've been a fan of him since he joined the team. But obviously, we've had guys like Muasau and Latu who have stolen the spotlight. But I think this is Kane Medrano's year. Okay, spoiler alert. He's my Magic Man.
The Magic Man.
I
you
also
know what line is?
Oh,
We're staying with linebackers.
Mm-hmm.
It's absolutely the same Magic Man I had last year, and that is none other than Femi.
I was just going to say, Femi is
the Magic Man.
He's looking really good, and it's interesting because UCLA.
Go Bears!
UCLA obviously lost a lot of edge rushers, and that's a area of concern. So it looks like they're trying to send a few more of their linebackers in to accommodate for that.
Which all an edge rusher is kind of like a combination defensive lineman / linebacker anyway. I mean, it's not like it's a special skill, obviously,
exactly. But
it's a guy who's not quite a Jay Toya in the middle, but also not quite a middle linebacker type either. It's a guy who has this talent at getting around the edge, getting through the edge, getting between the edge, with speed and quickness and moves and whatnot.
Exactly.
The prototype would be none other than.
And these two, Medrano and Oladejo, are middle-ish linebackers.
But no, I want to get back to that in a minute. But we actually had the prototype of an edge on the team the last 3-4 years.
Yeah.
A transfer, Latu, who's now going to be a high draft pick.
2 years, yeah.
2 years. Who's going to be a high draft pick in the NFL, right?
Mm-hmm.
There ain't no Latu lining up.
No.
However, there wasn't going to be anyway, right? Like, those guys are few and far between. But can they find guys that can fill into these roles? What do you think about
Well,
it,
I'm
Mike? 'Cause I
hoping,
have something I wanna
especially
say.
because of the transfer portal, which opened on Tuesday, they definitely are in need of it because they lost 4. And obviously you have Latu, but then you had Grayson Murphy and Gabriel Murphy, who were on a lot of radars of NFL teams. You have Carl Jones, who not as high on the radar, not as high on the Richter scale, but if he's not drafted, I'm pretty sure that he will be picked up as an undrafted free agent.
If you weren't watching him this year as a Bruin, if you weren't paying attention, he had a terrific year for the Bruins.
Yeah.
He was a big part of their very, very good defense.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. No way around it.
Yeah, so you lose those 4, and then you lose Shea Bryant Strother, who went to the transfer portal, who he didn't make a huge difference, and that's not a knock on him. There was just 4 guys that were, ahead of him. I was hoping he would make an impact, but he's in the transfer portal, so UCLA definitely has to go to the transfer portal to try to try to make up for some of these guys who are gone.
With that being said, though, what do you think the biggest, or what do you think the odds are of them actually getting a meaningful guy? I mean, I know they got the Murphys, and I know they got Latu at some point, but this year in particular, the way that things have changed, as far as like now, it really is. There's a lot more people going to the portal.
Yeah.
There's a lot more money in the portal, and UCLA, even if they have more money than they had last year, doesn't have as much as many of the other suitors are probably going to have, right? At least not right now.
Well,
do you think it's realistic for fans to expect them to get a guy that's meaningful for them in the transfer portal? Or
I think they could get at least one because
They
I
get
mean,
one.
and not just because of the uptick in recruiting energy and actually just recruiting.
Well, by uptake you mean they're actually doing it.
Exactly.
But I mean,
exactly.
But the one thing that Chip Kelly did do was he was very successful in the portal. Like he had that shit down pat.
Yeah.
So you're not going to improve your portal pursuit under Foster.
No.
It's not getting any better. If it's as good, we'll be thrilled, right?
And that's the thing.
But that's not something to improve on.
Yeah, but just the fact that that UCLA is looking for more than they have before, that is, I think that's going to be attractive to transfer portal prospects. So hopefully they get one, which would help, definitely. But at the same time, I can imagine that UCLA, and they have done this already, having guys switch positions. If you have
or at least rotate through positions or whatever.
True, or modify positions, like having more middle linebacker blitzes, which I saw a little bit of that from Kay Madrano and Oladejo. I can't see them doing that consistently as an edge rusher, but they definitely need someone else to help out there because at this point, from what I've seen, the linebackers in the secondary are the strength of the defense. And we haven't really been able to say that.
Well, I don't know.
The linebackers they were better last year.
Yeah, well, they've been getting better. I mean,
years,
they bottom out in the first few years of Kelly after being, like UCLA for a few years. There was like, team linebacker, right? I mean, it was linebacker I want to say.
Yeah.
A couple points I want to take one by one. Number one, getting back to the transfer portal, I don't want to let that go because like you, Mike, I'm hopeful they're going to get guys in the transfer portal.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful, but I mean, I am aware that if nowadays, especially this year more than last year and last year more than the year before that, but especially this year now, it's to me a lot less about, I think opportunity still comes into it for the player, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if there's an opening at a Big Ten school like UCLA, that's an attractive thing to recruit to.
So weird
however, I know, isn't that weird? Isn't that weird?
So bizarre.
But is that the most important thing for a transfer, for most transfers at this point? I don't think so, right? What's most important, Mike?
It's the edge.
No. Not what's most important for UCLA to get.
NIL,
What's most important to a guy we're going after?
NIL.
The money, right?
Yeah, that helps.
And look, I think they do have some money, but honestly, I would be perfectly happy if they didn't get diddly squat in the transfer portal, if it also meant they didn't lose diddly squat, because I am absolutely terrified that they're going to lose what, you talked about how it looks like the defensive backs and the linebackers are becoming a strength for the Bruins, and that's great. I'm all about that. But let's not be fucking fooled here. The strength of the Bruin defense this year is going to start with Jay Toya and the other big bodies they have in the middle.
Yeah.
And if they can make it through the transporter window without losing any of those big bodies, which if you listen to any national podcast, all they're talking about is, oh yeah, all these big teams, these SEC teams, these Big Ten teams, they want to go poaching big bodies and stuff like that. It's like UCLA has one of the biggest, one of the most skilled, one of the best defensive tackles in the country right now in Jay Toya. And, Gary Smith's no slouch either, but obviously, Jay Toya is the draw.
Yeah.
So I'm really, so Mike, yes, I will be thrilled if they get a transfer, but I'll be more thrilled if they don't lose no transfers.
If they retain, yes.
Of any
that's
note,
a huge
right?
part, yeah.
So I mean, that starts it right there. Second of all, getting to the fact that they're going to, or right now they lost all these great edge guys, but if you tell me they lost all these edge guys, but that they have a really what looks like a really fine stable of linebackers, you're telling me this. When I'm listening to our friend James Williams and Woods on their podcast, when I'm listening to Tracy and Dave on their podcast,
Mike Regalado.
when I'm listening to the LA Football Network,
Iron Mike.
There's a lot of like, oh yeah, they don't have the edge rushers, but then there's some positive talk about what the linebackers are all about, right?
Yeah.
And if you're telling me that you don't have any edges or that your edges aren't up to what they were last year, and how could they be, by the way, but you have some, it looks like talented linebackers, like I think you can make some lemonade out of some lemons situation there. If you can put together, like if you can figure that out. If you're going to tell me that they have decent DBs and good linebackers and a good interior, like
Jake, with some lemons, you can make some Juice Force IPA. Brought to you by Voodoo Ranger.
Oh, I love that. Or you can make a yuzu cocktail that has lemon juice in it with maple syrup. Mike, you're right on point there, buddy. That's perfect. But
lemonade.
The other part of this is, Mike, play with me here for a minute. All we've heard is they're going to the Big Ten. And what have we heard about, UCLA and USC going from the Pac-12, the land of softies out here on the West Coast, going to the big, burly Big Ten? What do people say about it?
Good luck winning 3 games next year.
Yeah, big, physical, tough, blah, 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 right? Okay, yeah. Okay, so what is the flip side of that when it comes to what I have said and what a lot of people say about Big Ten offenses? For the most part, the Big Ten plays great defense, but part of that equation, this is a zero-sum game to a degree in that if they're playing such good defense, part of that is there's not a lot of good offenses over there, right? There are a lot of really shitty offenses over there.
Yeah.
Exhibit A, Iowa, Exhibit B, I don't know, Minnesota, Nebraska last year, or whatever. There's a lot of crappy offenses over there. So I would say this: if you look at not, or maybe they're going to have people that are rushing the edge next year.
Yeah.
Will they have the best in the country? Probably not, because they just lost the best in the country.
Yeah.
But looking at the opponents on the slate for next year, edge rushing is always important. It's always important to pressure the quarterback. Yada yada yada. I don't want to I don't want to take away from that point. However, if there's teams on your schedule where it's maybe a little bit less important to rush the passer because all they're doing is trying to do three yards and a cloud of dust.
Yeah.
Well, that would be the UCLA schedule coming up in this particular year, because
that actually that helps them.
It does help them, right? So I'm saying it's still important to rush the passer. It's still important to have edge rushers, but their schedule this year, maybe it makes it to where they can kind of put something together and be still successful. If they are stopping the run effectively, if they have a decent, secondary and they have good linebackers, they're still going to be they're not going to be a top 20 defense, probably, almost certainly.
No.
But could they be a much better defense than we saw the first 3 years under Kelly? I think so.
Oh yeah.
And then when you look at what's actually on the schedule, at first glance, if I were to tell you that 4 of the teams on the schedule were in the top 5 in passing yards last year, that would be pretty scary, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But every one of those teams lost their quarterback to the NFL, right? That would be Oregon, Washington, LSU, and USC. Beyond that, they have Fresno State and Hawaii on the schedule. They were both top 30 passing offenses. But, I mean, you would expect they should be able to handle Hawaii and, to a degree, Fresno State regardless. Okay, so I'm not really worried about those games as much as I would be about the other ones. And then we get into the other conference games they have to play. The other 5 Big Ten conference opponents, none of these opponents were better than 84th in passing yards last year. I know that's not the best metric to measure a passing game by. This is a very simple one. But only Indiana was in the top 125, by the way. 4 of their opponents, Minnesota, Rutgers, Nebraska, Iowa, were all sub 125th in the country in passing. And what I'm getting at is probably those 4 teams, to one degree or another, will be better than they were this last year because, it's hard to be that bad. But probably Oregon, Washington, LSU, and USC will not be nearly as good as they were. Maybe 1 or 2 of them might be. Oregon's got a talented quarterback stable, with Dylan Gabriel there. USC, we'll see what's their guy. I have Matt Moore on the brain, but it's
Matt Miller?
Matt
Moss?
Miller Moss. Good job. We did it. They're probably going to have a very good passing game.
Mac Mill?
But
what is? Sorry.
But I mean, we talk about the goal of UCLA football next year.
Yeah.
It's probably not their goal. Their stated goal is to be, we want to win the Big Ten. But that's not really what everybody's expecting of them.
Yeah.
They're probably not going to be a very good team. But potentially on defense, they might not be that bad. Base number 1 in. They might actually play better than we're projecting them to, even though they lost all those guys. And number 2, they're probably not going to play nearly as good of an average offense as they did this year in the Pac-12, the stacked Pac-12 they played this year.
Well, that's the fallacy with the Big Ten, with everybody saying good luck winning only 3 games. It's like, have you watched Big Ten football? Yes, no, it is one of the 2 greatest conferences.
There are some great teams.
It definitely has. That's my point. The Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, obviously elite, and they are going to be in the top 10, top 15, no matter what. But like every conference, they have their middling teams and their bottom of the barrel teams, and it's UCLA has a chance, at least to make a bowl next year, because there's not, like you're saying, even Iowa. Iowa was in the top 15 for the majority of last season. And they were only there because of their elite defense. Their offense couldn't do crap.
I will say this. I am starting to come to the opinion that, I think if UCLA had some continuity, like if Kelly had stayed, I think we made this argument plenty of times. There's no way their offense wouldn't have been vastly improved just by not having a true freshman quarterback trying to figure it out in conference play this next year, right?
Yeah.
Just having a steady hand there. They had all the tools to make the offense pretty good under Chip Kelly, a typical whatever, he had that on track. I am now more worried that their offense will not be up to snuff just because of all of the things involved in having a new system and all these different, all the stuff, learning new terminology, and will it actually work anyway? Is this going to be more Kenny DePalamalu, or is this going to be more, an actually like a good West Coast offense, under, the one good Carl Durrell year, that's a big question mark in my mind. I kind of feel like the defense, the degree of difficulty is not going to be as high as it was this last year, so they don't have to be as good. And so I think they'll still be serviceable. I think that's what they should be shooting for.
Yeah,
obviously they're going to be shooting to be better, but I think us as fans should expect let's try to hope that they're serviceable, and then let the chips fall where they may. But I'm more worried about the offense at this point for just the because they're going through this huge transition than I'm about the defense, because there's still a lot of dudes. You think about the studs that they have on this team.
Yeah.
They're on defense as far as my gosh, these physical specimens, the J. Michael Sturdivants, my apologies to him, but like I said, the Jay Toyas, the Oladejos, those guys are studs, so I want to see them perform like studs.
Yeah.
That's all I got, Mike, I think.
It's a good talk.
Thanks.
There's so much, aside from the fact that we're in spring practice right now, we're with a new coach trying to figure out what's going to happen next year. This is probably the most bizarre offseason ever, specifically because, usually we've been doing this for 10 years. Yeah. Usually, probably in about a month's time, month and a half, we would start to talk about what's going on with the Pac-12 football. No. How we think that, how's Oregon State, how's USC, how's Washington, Utah going to happen?
Pac-12.
Bummer.
And that is
completely
dissipated. We're going to need a new drop for that because of the Big Ten.
Tell yourself
now
that.
We have to, I know, right?
You haven't had a catch a jingle in a while, Mike.
I have some dead time.
I need to catch a jingle, Mike, for the Big Ten.
All right,
Let's go.
All right, it's happening. Definitely for the Big Ten. And that's the thing. we now have to not only assess
Give me like
all
a
of these.
fee foam faux fum type of theme, like something like gigantic and enormous and hulking. That's what I think of when I think of big.
Better than you, SEC. Yeah, exactly. But no, just to not only look at how Deshaun Foster is doing, how the team in general is doing going into the next season, but to now compare them to an entirely different beast. It's both fun and scary and stupid, and I'm like, I am so tired. I just want to go to sleep. But at the same time, we all love UCLA football. That's why we're doing this.
That's right. Mike, with that being said, let's get to Bill's favorite part of the show.
What's brewing with you? You ask me. What's brewing with me? Yeah. What's brewing with you? What's brewing with me? What's brewing with you?
Mike, what's wrong with you?
Dude, I'm tired. This
I
is
can tell.
like the end of the year is upon us. And both you and I work in education, and we have children in education, and it's just hitting us.
I don't really work in education at this point, but yes, the point.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you haven't done that in a while.
More of government,
but at the same time, you still have.
It used to be adjacent to education.
You have
that's true.
You have youths.
Yeah.
That are.
They're in school.
Exactly, and as am I. I'm finally catching up to you, Jake, and my lovely, beautiful daughter Violet had her first musical theater performance this last week, which was freaking awesome. They did this whole like radio suspense theater, which from what she told me, it sounded like it was going to be like a half an hour affair. This thing was like 2 hours, and it was awesome. Like all the kids were freaking on point. Absolutely, like I enjoyed every minute of it. And then obviously I'm a little biased with my daughter, but I was like, you know what, girl? You got to get yourself some lessons.
Nice.
So I want to look into that because she doesn't. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be a dad. Not straightforward, a great voice, but her variety and her tone and her pitch, I was impressed. I have never heard this from her. Like we sing in the car, but I have not heard this from her. I'm like, you know what? We have to explore this. But at the same time, she also loved performing in musical theater. So I want to have her, have a journey into that. But it was really, really fun. But also at the same time, this Sunday, just like I did for my 8th grade trip, she's heading out to the East Coast.
Very cool.
Historical trip. She's heading out to Washington, D.C. and Nueva York to check out the very American historical points, which we don't have out here. I talked to my friend Jim about this because he's actually my friend Jim. I think you've met him a few times. He's a Gothic industrial guy. Anyway, he is from Albany, New York. His high school literally was Ichabod Crane High School. And we joked for the longest time where he grew up out there. I grew up out here. He grew up where American history actually happened. So that's our joke between us. But obviously, there's a lot of
and
American
you give him the
history,
finger and say, early American history.
There you go. Exactly. Because
that's what tripped me out the first time I went to not the first time I went to the East Coast, but one of the first time I took one of those trips like that. We went out to Virginia, and like we were in Williamsburg, and I went to William and Mary. Remember when I went to William and Mary, came back with a tribe shirt and all that stuff?
You have your,
that was awesome.
Where's your magnet? It's up there somewhere.
Yeah. Go tribe. Anyways, it strikes you. It's like, this is still here and it's still functional. It's awesome. It's one of the great things about going back east, and then it's even better going to Europe. It's like, what the hell? Like, even still, like, I've been to Philadelphia like 8 times in the last year. Like, I wonder why. Who does that? And the fact that I've been able to, like, at a moment's notice, I've only done it once because it's kind of cool. But at a moment's notice, you can just go and say, hey, I want to see the Liberty Bell. Very cool. You go to Washington, D.C., you're like, hey, let's go check out the Washington Monument. Let's go to the mall. Or the route. And we say the mall, I mean the historic mall. Exactly. Let's go see the Natural History or the Aerospace Museum. It's just... It's very cool. It's like that. Obviously, that's where America originated, and it's really fun to see that stuff. Yeah. So I'm very excited for my daughter for her East Coast trip. That's very, very cool. But at the same time, I'm a father going, what the Oh, very well, Mike. Pretty much. Jake,
What's brewing with you?
Oh, thanks, Mike. I just haven't watched this show.
Watch this show. Jake. He watches too much TV. No one can get through to him. Jake. I really hope you know that Doctor Who is fake. Jake. There's more to life than Sherlock. Just to fight a new girl. Wait. No, there's not. Watch this show.
Just two real quick. Number one, I've been watching on Amazon one of my favorite adaptions of a video game I think I've ever watched, and that's the
Mario
Fallout
Brothers?
series. No, Fallout.
Oh, okay,
Although
sorry.
I haven't watched Mario Brothers. I heard it's a fun movie. Yes, no?
With John Leguizamo and...
No,
was
not that one.
horrible.
There was an animated one last year.
Oh, the movie?
Yeah.
Hey, that was fun. That was very fun. It was very...
Anyways.
But this is live action.
This is. And it's Fallout. It's kind of like...
deeper.
The way I would describe it is, if you've never played the video game, it's kind of like a whimsical apocalypse. It's,
Yeah.
if there were an alternate future where, there was a giant nuclear war and it's a wasteland, and it happened in some sort of
trying to stay
weird
positive.
future version of the 50s is what it was.
Yeah.
So it's a really cool style and really fun games to play. And the show is very faithfully recreated. And so I think it's a fun watch, whether you like the show or the game or not. It's just a fun, like, kind of sci-fi show. So I highly recommend that. That's on Amazon. It's only like 8 episodes long. And it's kind of like, I wasn't a big fan of The Walking Dead just because it was so goddamn depressing. But this kind of hits on some of the same themes in a less, like, just horribly
Like you
depressing
said,
way.
whimsical.
Yeah. It's not just
Like,
all just like
kind of hope.
it's
but,
not just all depressing and everybody's going to kill each other and there's no hope and everybody sucks and yada 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 and everybody's a zombie or whatever. So like that's why I kind of got sick of The Walking Dead. But anyways, the other show is just a movie that I found also on Amazon because I was listening to one of my favorite podcasts, Smoke 'Em If You Got 'Em, with Sarah Hepola and Nancy Rommelman, and they were talking on their little listener only thing. They watched The Long Goodbye, which is an adaptation made by Robert Altman in like 1972 of a Raymond Chandler novel of all things, starring Mike. Who's the star?
Oh, I don't know.
Elliot fucking Gould.
Wow.
During the 2 years when he was like one of the biggest stars in Hollywood. It's insane. It's like there's like a Mad Libs of a movie put together, and it's got this.
I know you're just naming names. I'm like, wow. And every name that you named got bigger and bigger.
It's a trippy effing movie. I'll just tell you this right now, and I'm a huge fan of of noir and Raymond Chandler and all that stuff. This, like, I don't know. I can't tell you like unequivocally, this is an awesome movie. I can tell you unequivocally, it's a very interesting thing to watch, especially as a document of Los Angeles from the 70s, as a document of, film noir, as a Robert Altman thing. I guess when it first came out, it was totally panned. Like it like was a bomb. And then it's like one of those things that like gained steam over the years and became kind of like, to a degree, a little bit of a cult classic. Although it was news to me. I didn't realize this movie existed until about, a month ago, but it's pretty cool. It's called The Long Goodbye.
Oh, nice.
And it's on Amazon. I think if you're a subscriber, you get it. I think it's free, but whatever. But that's all I got, Mike. Yeah. So yeah.
Also, quick shout out to my daughter Poppy, who
Let's go, Poppy.
She's turning 12 this year.
Yay.
Almost a teenager. God, I'm gonna have 2 in my hands in
bud.
a little while, right? But yeah, no. This weekend I'm taking her and her siblings to an escape room.
If you follow my template, she'll be the Hellraiser for you, because that's what Molly is.
Yeah,
so
dude. Okay, quick sidebar. So Poppy is very quiet, and my sister Rebecca and I talk about this, and we're like, Poppy listens. She listens, and she brings shit back. She brings up old shit. She's
good.
that kind
It's
of
good
person.
quality, though.
She's going to be an awesome lawyer. If she goes that direction. Good. But it's funny. Yes, I've talked about The Clue. Did I talk about this last week?
You've talked about Clue many times.
Okay, so we played Clue. Me and my kids played Clue with my sister and my brother-in-law, and my sister was just dying because she had never seen Poppy in her element.
Oh, like competitive?
When Poppy is competitive, fuck, dude, it is crazy. Like my sister Becky, she dubbed competitive Poppy as drunk Poppy.
Nice.
And I'm just like, oh my God, that I could so see that shit. So, but no, she's turning 12.
Happy birthday.
And happy birthday, Pop Star. And,
Pop.
Pop. So I just want to give a quick happy birthday to her. But spring has sprung upon us.
It definitely has.
Spring football.
I know.
Who's going with us to the spring showcase, people?
I'm gonna try to make it.
Who's going?
I'm gonna try to bring the Malcolm, the Greek god that he is. All right.
Right?
Yeah. All right. So thank you, Mike. I'll talk to you next week, I'm sure. And I think we might have a special guest.
Oh yeah,
from the past.
Yeah.
That'll be
Blast
fun.
from the past.
And maybe we
That'd
won't.
be sweet.
I don't know. We're not gonna hold ourselves to it. But if he does, it'll be cool.
We'll see what happens.
And I guess with that being said, thank you for listening, and until next time. Go Bruins.
Good evening.
Smoke 'em if you got 'em.
That was the What's Bruin Show.
Try us tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel.
It's gotta be in or out, Mom. In or out. Well, I need the door closed.
Thank you for your cooperation.
Dude, Rob, we play some ball on the West Coast.
The final word is boob.
Angel Reese, she went to Chicago. Wow, that with her there, that the Chicago Sky looked pretty freaking ballsy. The Sparks,
Maybe not the best choice of words.